Good morning.
Good morning, Kim.
Is that Dr. McLaughlin I heard?
Yes, ma'am.
So I understand that you will be taking minutes during the executive session.
That is correct.
So I will keep the Zoom link open, but do you still have my cell phone number?
I do, Kim, yes.
Okay. So if you, just in case this were to step away from my computer, would you please text me when you're coming back to regular session?
Will do. Let's just double check and make sure that I'm good. You know what, Kim, you might need to. I did think I had it, but I'm not seeing it come up.
Okay, so let me go ahead. I'll send it to you in the chat.
Sounds good.
And says mute.
Yeah, so right now they can hear you. Good afternoon. No, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Hi, it's Louisa.
Good morning, Dr. Stark.
Good morning. Glad to hear you.
If you want to mute yourself, just click back here.
Do I mute myself?
Yeah, if you want to mute yourself,
Okay. Okay.
click on it.
Mhm. Thank you so much. At some point, I need to take a class.
You'll be okay.
But now they could.
Yes.
It's pretty much what I will be turning on and off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can say hi to everybody. No,
Sure.
it's Benjamin, isn't it?
It's Benjamin and Ami, Kimberly, who is arriving. And myself. So what has happened to Troy Harris and Denise?
It's probably muted too.
Yeah.
You can like mute again.
Wait. Okay, second.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Good
good
morning.
Oh, good, great. Okay. It is a minute after 10. I'd like to call a regular session of the Phoenix Elementary School Board to order and turn it over to Dr. Weeks for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, good morning. Please, ready for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I believe we'll stay standing and there will be a moment of silence in honor of Black Lives Matter. Thank you all very much. You may be seated. Ms. St. Clair, do you want to call the roll, please?
Yes. Just give me a moment as the,
Sure.
okay. Susan Benjamin,
Here.
Louisa Stark. Here. Lene Alme.
Here.
Laura Diaz.
Here.
Carmen Trujillo. Ms. Trujillo,
She was on. I wonder if she lost connection.
I'll go ahead, because she was on, I'll go ahead and counter us here, and I'm sure she'll be back on again.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
This is Lene Alme, so moved.
Thank you. And a second.
This is Dr. Diaz. I second that.
Great, thank you. Any discussion or changes? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Need a motion to move to executive session, please?
Mrs. Benjamin,
Yes.
I've received a text from Mr. Hio. Computer just went black. Tried to call in. I don't have the meeting password to enter.
I didn't understand the last part.
Mr. Hio was trying to connect.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we could give her a minute.
Well, why don't we do why don't we move to executive session and then allow her to go through all that, because it'll take us a couple minutes to get there.
That's a separate link.
So can I have a motion to move to executive session?
Dr. Diaz, so moved.
And a second, please.
I second the motion.
That's Dr. Stark. Great. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. And for all of those who are listening to us, I should have welcomed you to start. I apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know how long this is going to take, so you'll have to check in with us every so often, because we will come back to a regular session when we've completed the executive session. Dr. Weeks, do you have any idea how long this might take?
Executive session will take at least 20, 30 minutes, I would imagine.
Okay, so for those folks that are listening, start checking back in around 20 minutes. Thank you very much. We will move to executive session.
Let me see. Switch around. Someone's gone.
you have the executive session link? Huh. So you're gonna be working on the second.
Hello?
Is that you, Ms. Trujillo?
No, but, I'm just here to speak on, the topics I have, this morning.
Um,
I'm sorry, the public's hearing hasn't started yet. They're in executive session right now. But they, as soon as they're back in, I think that's next on the agenda. So go ahead and unmute yourself when President Benjamin gives the okay for the
So Troy is calling Carmen to provide.
for the public hearing.
Oh, okay. All right.
They estimate about 20 or 30 minutes for the executive session.
Might be one screen over, sometimes there's arrows on the left or the right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron,
Mhm.
you want to put Dr. Stark in the executive session?
Yeah, she's in there now.
We don't see her.
Oh, they went to the wrong one. See, that's
It's
the
the
one,
second link, Ron.
the second one. We got 3 in here.
Yeah, so the second link is executive session.
That's the one I clicked. Huh. Hold on. Troy's in this one, right?
No, Rocky, you're in the main meeting still.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
Hello? 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 Is anybody there?
Hello, yes, this is the board secretary. Board members and cabinet are still in executive session. They have not come back from executive session.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 'cause I just couldn't hear anybody, so I was thinking that maybe my phone was acting up. So
It looks like
okay.
we've got one board member coming back. Yeah, they're starting to come back. So if you want to go ahead and mute yourself, and then when we get to the public comment section, you'll be asked to unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to verify who's with us now. Dr. Alora Diaz, are you with us? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Susan.
Okay, thank you, Lene. Okay, so Lene's with us. Dr. Stark?
She's here.
I'm here.
Okay, great, thank you. Is Mr. Hio with us? I'll give us another minute to get everybody here. Alora, are you with us now? Alora Diaz?
Yes, I'm right here. Sorry, my computer was lagging.
What about, thank you, Alora. What about Carmen Trujillo? Or Carmen, are you with us? Dr. Weeks?
He just stepped out.
Okay. I'm just thinking he may be having something to tell us about Carmen and her technical issues.
I'm here.
You are, great, okay. So I think we're just waiting for Dr. Weeks to get back.
Got it. Yeah, Troy got me all set up.
Good. We're glad you're here. Dr. Weeks back?
Yes, he's just come back.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm going to resume to regular session. Excuse me. It is 10:48. And I'm going to call for a public hearing. I need a motion, please.
This is Carmen Trujillo, so moved.
One second.
This is Lene Almy. I second.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Weeks, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Benjamin. This is a request approval to receive and discuss input on Title VI grant application for American Indian, Alaska Native students for policies in the U.S. And because this is a public hearing, we ask Troy to indicate whether or not there is anyone from the public wishing to speak on this issue.
So did you have to receive cards for this, Dr. Weeks?
No, we're opening up the lines because this is a public hearing.
Right. Okay.
The same as community communication.
Okay. So the question is anyone here to speak about or give public input into the grant application?
Troy, could you unmute and let us know if there's anybody out there wishing to speak?
Yes, I believe there was several people that connected during the executive session. I see 4 members of the public called in right now. I'm not sure if all of them are wishing to speak or not. Remember, if you're a member of the public, to unmute, I believe it's *6.
So if you want to speak to this public hearing on your phone, push *6. *6 if you wish to speak on the public hearing for Title VI grant application for American Indian and Alaska Native students.
Mr. Harris, is anybody calling in?
We have 4 members that have been called in. One of them spoke during the executive session, so I know they are able to unmute.
Is there a way as the host of the meeting, Mr. Harris, that you can unmute them?
I can. I don't want to unmute someone, though, if they are not expecting them to be unmuted.
Okay.
Okay, Mrs. Benjamin, I would say that with our limited technology and doing the best that we can for a public hearing on this Title VI grant application, doesn't appear as though there's anyone that has unmuted themselves to speak to this item.
Okay, so do we need a motion for this, or we just resume regular session?
You would resume regular session.
Okay, without hearing any public input, then we will resume regular session. It is 10:52. Thank you for that guidance. On to awards, recognitions, and announcements. Dr. Weeks.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, is this the time for public comment? Because I have something to say about everything.
So the public hearing that we just had was specific to this Title VI grant application. Community comments, we requested that they be sent to us by email yesterday by 5 o'clock.
Oh, so we can't speak this morning?
We have, in our instructions, we have this rule that we've set down for 5 o'clock. If you would like to contact me and have a conversation with me, that would be fine.
Okay, and who are you, please? Because my name is Carmen Terrell.
Carmen Terrell. My name is Larry Weeks. I'm the superintendent of the district. Let me write your name down here.
Okay, I can't hear you. You're a little muffled. What is your name again?
Larry Weeks.
You said Larry Lewis?
Weeks. Weeks.
Weeks?
Yes.
W-E-E-K-S. Weeks.
Yes, that's right.
Larry Weeks.
Yes.
Okay, and you said respond to you by email, correct?
Yeah, that'd be fine. That's probably the easiest.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay, I guess, Dr. Weeks, you're up with awards, recognitions, and announcements.
Okay. And so I'm not going to spend too much time talking because I understand that for some reason my sound is muffled. But I will start with recognition of Susan Brown, and then talk about a couple more things, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Diaz for the Star Awards. Susan Brown was selected to be part of the ADE team vetting new science assessment. She will be working with that team this summer to ensure alignment between the standards and the assessment. And our district benefits not only from her expertise, but also from the added layer of understanding she will have for the new assessment and how that might lead to shape our thinking and instruction. So we want to recognize Susan Brown as being a part of this ADE team. Bethune, 7th and 8th grade ELA teacher Michaela Chapman served on ADE's Reopening of Schools Task Force, specifically the student subcommittee. So I'm proud to say that we have voice in that process. K-3 Move On When Reading Summer School. Today marks the 12th day of our K-3 Move On When Reading Summer School. 102 of the 150 students registered are engaged, as well as older siblings, aunts, uncles, moms, dads, and grandparents. So we're happy to read that. Virtual algebra course. We partnered with Phoenix Union High School District to provide a virtual algebra course for 10 of our qualifying students. This class will begin on August 6th. And at this time, I will turn the Star Award recognition to Dr. Vic Diaz.
Thank you very much, Dr. Weeks. Madam President, members of the board, it gives me great honor to introduce our special thanks and recognition award winners, our Star winners, who go above and beyond.
Dr. Diaz, this is Laura Diaz. Just really quickly, I think if everyone can put your mics on mute, somebody's mic when it's on is providing feedback for whoever is talking. Sorry, I'm done.
That's all right, thank you. I was hearing that myself. Okay, well, it gives me, again, great honor to introduce our Star Award winners for the month. This month, our Star Award winners come from business services as well as curriculum instruction. Our winners, the first is our amazing payroll team, led by Janice Durham, Josette Arvalo, and Frank Kratz. Also includes Sylvia Encinas, Mary Smith, Matthew Cavazos, And honorary member Mark Leister, a member of our human resources team, who has become a very integral part of our payroll processes. COVID-19 took our district by surprise. On Monday, March 2nd, very few people would have known that by the end of the week, schools across Arizona would be closed indefinitely. As that happened, there was a lot of scrambling that happened around the district to stabilize cornerstones that Dr. Weeks and cabinet had identified. And one of the ones they identified was ensuring that all of our employees would not see a disruption in their hard-earned paychecks. The payroll team worked quickly, efficiently, and at a distance. They rebuilt our entire timekeeping and payroll system. They worked above and beyond expectations to make sure everyone got their paychecks on time throughout the months of March, April, May, and now into June. Without knowledge of these systems, it's really difficult to put into words what an amazing challenge this was. But it's very easy for me to say that every single member of our staff owes an enormous debt of gratitude to everybody on this team. Guided by the leadership of our Budget and Finance Director, Janice Durham, this team can best be described in 3 words: our biggest heroes. So many congratulations to the payroll team. Our next Star Award winner is Laura Lopez Gomez, our Benefits and Wellness Specialist here in the Human Resources Department. Laura has consistently gone above and beyond to meet the needs of all of our employees, especially during our open enrollment period when the vast majority of our staff were working at home. Laura is knowledgeable, she's approachable, helpful, resourceful, and she strives to do better every day in her mission to take care of our employees' needs. Her recent leadership in providing support for our staff returning from maternity leave also stands as a clear example of her vision, compassion, and leadership. Very similar to the payroll team, she had to completely rethink and redesign how we sign people up for benefits in a virtual world. And although this was the most challenging open enrollment period we've ever had, it was also the most successful. And so many, many thanks to Laura for her leadership, and congratulations to her for her receipt of this Star Award. And our final Star Award goes to our amazing curriculum instruction specialists, Kristen Kleider, Lisa Fryer, Amanda Art, Susan Brown, and Lauren Ashmore. This team has worked tirelessly to establish direction for our district's important curriculum work. They've invested hundreds of hours reviewing instructional resources, reaching out to colleagues in their districts, communicating with teachers in order to create an inclusive selection process. When schools were closed unexpectedly due to the pandemic, they worked collaboratively and alongside other teams and school teams to help support continued learning during the time of COVID. This ranged from identifying resources to providing tech support to securing free access to resources for our English learners. When they do find moments of rest, they spend them writing curriculum. And the work that they do is so often unseen, but it impacts everything across the district. The 3 words that were used to describe these staff members were committed, brilliant, and humble. So many, many thanks and congratulations to these amazing Star Award winners. We also take this time to thank their families for lending their loved ones to us and to our community, especially during this time of great uncertainty and challenge. One more time, many congratulations to our June Star Award winners.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. Dr. Weeks, do you have any other?
I do. I'd like to just recognize 3 folks that won't be here next year. The first is Diane Ray. Diane Ray began her teaching career as a special ed teacher in Phoenix Elementary District in the 70s. She worked at schools now closed, but also at Shaw Elementary. Diane left Phoenix No. 1 to be special education director in Coolidge and was also director of special education at Phoenix Union. Diane was proud to return to Phoenix 1 as the district's director of student services and special education, where she is known for always putting students first. Mr. Anthony Parr began his career at Phoenix Elementary in 1990, an instructional assistant at Anna. He held other positions during his 30-year career in the district: custodian, warehouse materials distribution supervisor, and most recently, director of plant services. Anthony consistently advocated for well-maintained and attractive facilities, as he believed that our students and staff deserve the best. And finally, Kathy Marston began her tenure at Phoenix 1 as a teacher at Lowell. She then became coordinator and later director of assessment and accountability. She's been instrumental leader in setting up the process to align assessments with Galileo, McKeesa, and the ADE that provides needed data to determine performance scores for teachers and leaders. Kathy's provided countless trainings and presentations to teachers, leaders, and the governing board, sharing student assessment and recommended instructional targets. She represented the district at the state level and served on many assessment committees. She was also a student in the district from kindergarten through 8th grade. Due to a variety of construction projects while a student, she attended Hurd, Kenilworth, and Monterey Park schools. Kathy is very proud of her accomplishments as an ALPI, which is connected to our ALPS Gifted program, and student in the district's program for Gifted. So just want to recognize those folks. We wish them well.
Dr. Weeks?
Yes.
We also have two other people. One we've talked about, which is Dr. Hidalgo, who is now retired.
Yes, Dr. Hidalgo is
Here
retired.
with us today. She's home
Yep.
taking care of her family, but she
Yes.
worked in the district for 25 years. Is that right?
Yes, 25 years. The last few years have been as the assistant superintendent or chief operating officer, depending on what title you were given her.
Right. And then the other one is Sarah Bresnahan, who's leaving us.
Well, Sarah Bresnahan has chosen to start this journey with regards to winding down and looking closer to retirement. So we wish all of these folks well, and we can't thank them enough for all this that they have done for the district, for the students, the staff, and the community. Just jobs well done. So we want to take that moment to thank these folks.
And I'd like to thank all of them because, I was just adding up all the years that they worked in the district. And I don't have everybody's correct number, I don't think exactly. But I'm thinking it's like, this is 90 years plus of experience in the district and history and just that basic knowledge that's leaving us. That's a lot of years.
Yes, that is a lot of years, but we have good roads ahead, and so we're very fortunate that they were part of our district for the time that they were here.
Yeah. Well, it's just to acknowledge the number of years that they worked, in the district. And I think the least number was actually Diane Ray, and of course she started out in the district, and I think she was in the district for 11 or 12 years. And that's, those are really remarkable numbers when you're talking about 30 plus years and 25 plus years. I think Sarah has been in the district for 18 years. That's longevity. That says something about the district and the consistency it's had for such a long time. So I just wanted to call that out and thank them for all their years of service.
Would any other board members like to make a comment?
This is Carmen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Just wanted to.
Yeah, I can hear you real good right now. Because he was sounding muffled at first, but he said his name is Larry Weeks, correct, sir?
Yes, that's correct, ma'am.
Yeah. So yeah. I can hear y'all all right now, but can I please ask a question?
Ma'am, that's not part of the agenda at this point. And so at this point, your responsibility is part of this governing board meeting is to listen, and Dr. Weeks has indicated that he's more than happy to talk with you via email or on the phone, however is best.
Okay, so can I have that information so that way I'll just, because I really need to talk to him, please.
Yeah, Dr. Weeks, do you want to respond?
Yes. So my email address is Larry, Larry, dot Weeks, Weeks, at phxschools.org.
Okay, and what's your number, please, sir?
527
527
Yeah, 2912.
It's a 602.
2912,
Yes.
right?
And it's 257.
Oh, 257.
Oh,
257.
257.
Yeah, 257 2912.
We apologize for the confusion, ma'am. We'll get that sorted out.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, I had a problem with communication too. Because when someone was telling me about this, I didn't know you had to do email. So I apologize. Okay.
No apology necessary.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think Mr. Hio is going to make a comment.
I just wanted to second what Larry's comments were about everybody that's leaving and thank them as well for their time and just the time they've invested in the district. Wish you well.
Thank you, Mr. Hio. Anyone else? Okay. Are we on to, let's see, where did we leave off? The COVID update?
Yes, we have a short COVID update today. And then I will turn over one of our action team leads. Dr. Diaz had a meeting yesterday, so I think that's important. But our action teams on the CNI side continue to research and gather information to make recommendations that are best for our staff, students, families regarding the opening of the 2021 school year. Action teams are combing through family survey responses as well as staff survey responses to guide the development of their recommendations. We received recommendations from ADE only last Monday, and we are ensuring that our recommendations align to the Department of Education's recommendations. We are writing our plan to use the CARES Act funds to purchase needed materials. We also have a team of folks completing an AOI application, which is an online school, to establish an online school for our district. All costs associated with the online school will be paid for with CARES Act funds. We will bring our comprehensive plan for the opening of the 2021 school year to you at the 25th board meeting. And Vic, did you have any comments about your meeting from yesterday?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Dr. Weeks, Madam President, members of the board. I have the honor of serving as the action team lead for one of our 4 action teams, which is our health and safety action team. I describe this as a little bit like earth, wind, and fire in the sense that there's a lot of people on this team, and it reflexively changes from time to time because in our team, it's important that we're getting as much insight as we possibly can from our staff in terms of the best ways that we can go about ensuring people are staying healthy and protected. And we have met several times in the past few weeks to prepare for a very big day on Monday. On Monday, June 15th, we are planning to reopen our school front offices to the public during limited hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. We've worked very hard over the past 2 weeks to equip those offices to keep our staff safe, to keep members of the public safe as well, and to create as warm and as welcoming environment as we can to the public as we welcome them back into our buildings. We seek to do that for several reasons, one of which is to ensure that our community is seeing our commitment to being there for them, to serving them, and how seriously we're taking COVID in making sure people stay safe. So what you can expect to see at all of our schools front offices are safeguards such as plexiglass, copious amounts of hand sanitizer and wipes, as well as the use of facial coverings and the encouragement that members of the public also use face coverings when they enter our buildings. There'll also be markers on the floor just to encourage social distancing. And all of our staff are being required to complete about a 1-hour training on COVID that's offered to us by our partners from the Trust. It includes information about preparing your household and your workspaces for the world of COVID, identifying symptoms and knowing how to respond to those, as well as understanding the ways in which COVID is impacting all of our mental health and our mental wellness, and identifying that for ourselves and ways to support that with other people as well. So again, we're taking very seriously everything that it entails in terms of reopening these front offices. It is our hope that over the next few weeks, we will learn more and more about what it looks like to have a campus open during this time of COVID, and that we would take what we learned from this first phase of reopening a front office into consideration as we start thinking about other phases of reopening, of course, including the eventual reopening to students and families, all parts of the campus. And so Monday plans to be a very big day for us. We're excited to be there again, to be there in support, at the same time that we're very confident that the procedures and the processes and guidelines we've put in place are going to do the best to keep everybody safe. Other thing I just want to share a report on, again, I mentioned it in the Star Awards, but our amazing benefits and wellness specialist, Laura Lopez Gomez, has communicated to staff several times via email and other platforms the support we're offering to staff during this time. Under our wonderful insurance plan through Blue Cross Blue Shield, all of our staff have access to free COVID-19 testing, and at this time, an unlimited amount of that testing. And so we have shared that information several times with our staff so that they understand the benefits that they currently have in place. Under our insurance plan, all of our staff also has access through the Employee Assistance Program to counseling sessions for any number of challenges, from mental health to financial wellness. And so we've also reaffirmed and recommunicated to folks that part of their benefits package. So we're making sure that people understand that we're here to support them in their time of need, and do everything we can to keep people safe, healthy, and in a position to do the important work that we need to do with our students, with our communities, and for our families.
Thank you, Vic. Appreciate the update. Madam Chair, that concludes my COVID report for today.
I have a question on that, on your report, Dr. Weeks.
Yes.
You mentioned, this is Dr. Diaz, you mentioned that we are applying for an AOI. Could you describe that a little bit more in terms of what does that look like for our school? Are we purchasing online curriculum, or is that just simply saying that our teachers will continue to create their lesson plans and have the opportunity to provide these lessons via Zoom or other methods that they were using during this time?
My understanding is that we are looking at specific software for this. However, I'll turn it over to Dr. McLaughlin for specific updates on where we are with the application and some of the requirements.
Thank you, Dr. Weeks, President Benjamin, governing board members. The process of applying for an online school, an Arizona online instruction is what AOI stands for, is very comprehensive. So we have an incredible team put together to write this online application. Our online school is an option for our families who don't want to return to school come August 6th. And our online school will mirror the instruction, the curriculum that our students are receiving in the building, in the school building. So you adopted new instructional resources in K-8 math, science, and social studies. All of those resources, including our K-6 ELA Benchmark Advanced resource, have a digital component to them. We will be using Google Classroom, the whole G Suite, Google Meets, etc. We are looking into a learning management system But our online school will mirror what our students are receiving in the brick and mortar building, if you will.
Thank you. A follow-up to that, who would be teaching this? Because I understand we would use the same resource, but who would create the lesson plans and the guidance for the assignments? Would these students have live lessons? Like, how would that work?
We would use our current staff. So again, we don't know how many students, how many families are going to send their child back to the school building come August 6th. We have some inclination from the 440 families that have responded to the family survey that not all of them are going to be willing to come back to the building. So they want this online school option. We are going to use our current staff. So for example, we might have a 5th grade classroom that has no students in it. And so that's a very extreme example, but we take that 5th grade teacher and ask him or her to be an online instructor. Because they'll be using the same resources, they will be in line with, they'll receive the same professional development as far as those new resources go. They will need additional professional development on how to be an online teacher, and that's a whole entire section in the AOI application. And we are very fortunate to have Leslie Beecham, our MAKESA field specialist, working with some peer evaluators at MAKESA, along with Sherry Zeeb on that professional development piece. And so we've looked at the national standards for online teaching. We haven't fleshed that all out yet, but that is a very important piece to make sure that our current staff who are moving to online teaching feel supported with that professional development. We had great success with our teachers turning on a dime and being very willing to go to online teaching with very limited professional development. We will have a much more comprehensive professional development plan in place for our teachers that teach online.
Thank you. I definitely agree that professional development is going to be key. Having a lot of knowledge on online schools with my work at ASU, I just see, how robust and intense the professional development is, and the creation of content, how it's delivered, how it's presented. All of those things are so important. I do know that ASU Prep is providing free training for all teachers in the state of Arizona on like how to teach in an online environment. They've been given some grants from the state. So they actually, it's on the, and I can send you this link, but it's on the ASU for you, FORU website. And if you clicked on like 7-8 resources, you'd be able to find free online training for teachers. So it's professional development that they have years of expertise and research backing this. So, we don't necessarily have to recreate the wheel. We can take advantage of it right there. And then they also have put free course content online for districts to leverage. So I think that that's something we should look into and see if there's anything that we could use for our students right now, or at least give this information to our teachers so they can leverage it. Because again, they've invested a lot of time and money into this, and we should use, what's created there if possible.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. And I'm not sure if we're talking about the same thing or not, but ASU Prep Digital did offer free training. There's a few different weeks in May and June, and we had over 40 teachers sign up for that. So that was awesome. I don't know if that's the same training that you're talking about, so please send me that link, and we will definitely look into it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I will.
Are there other questions? I have some questions I really don't want answered today, but I want to put them out there because when you all provide your report to us at the next meeting. I just want to make sure that these things are answered. So I'm just going to give them to you real quickly, and then if need be, I can send them to Dr. Weeks if you don't get them. But I want to know how often the schools are, this is about COVID, how often the schools are going to be sanitized, and what does that mean? What does sanitized mean? I want to know who's going to supply the staff and the students with protective gear and equipment. And I want to know, I want to hear from you all about the trust and what happens with any kind of lawsuits that might occur based on someone getting the COVID while at work. Finally, I want to know, and these are in relationship to the health professionals out there, you know, how much testing has to be done to ensure protection for our students and staff. Our staff is concerned about, you know, how they're going to be protected. And once a case is diagnosed, how will the health agencies track and test people at risk? And does a school need to be shut down once that testing has gone on? And at what point will they do that, or will you do that? Because as you said, some families are balking at wanting to send their children back. And I think that we have to be serious, and we have to be communicative with all of our families. So I am suggesting to Dr. Weeks that he do some kind of communications that are live out to families. I listened to a town hall last night from another district, and they reviewed everything that they knew to this point. And of course, they don't know everything, but they were really transparent in terms of, you know, what they knew, what they didn't know, and where their challenges were and what they were working on. And I think that helps families as they make those decisions. And I think that makes them part of the discussion. So, you know, some kind of regular community updates, some kind of town hall, if you wanted to call it that, but something that communicates to our families where you are and what you're doing and what you're thinking. So, thank you.
This is Linnea Almy. I'd just like to add one thing to Ms. Benjamin's list for next time. Could you tell us if there are any contingency plans that have been created for different scenarios? So if we would need to do any kind of hybrid teaching where students are on campus some of the time and at home some of the time, or if we need to move into all virtual again, what that would look like and how it would differ from what was done in the past couple of months. And then I think with that, what might be helpful is maybe some like threshold indicators of what would move us to each of those different scenarios.
I think those are excellent to add to my list. And there's just a lot of questions. I think the more we discuss this with our families, the better off everyone will be. And I think that, you know, you include staff in that because they're a big part of this, and they are putting themselves at risk. And I think we need to be real honest about that. And we need to make sure that we have done everything as possible in order to keep everyone safe, the children and the staff and our staff. So.
Very true. Thank you both. We'll provide that information to you. Susan, you're muted. Susan, you're muted. You're muted, Susan.
Thank you. Sorry, I've got workers outside in my yard, and I was trying to keep them from interfering in this. I apologize. On to community communications. We are, for all those people in the public, we will, I think Ms. St. Clair will be reading the comments. I will be timing them. Ms. St. Clair, individual gets 3 minutes. If it's a group, if there's a representative of a group, they get 5. So if you can tell me whether or not they are, which they are, I will take care of the time. At the end of the 3 minutes or 5 minutes, I will let you know that your time is up. The governing board's responsibility in this is to listen intently to the comments. On to Ms. St. Clair. Would you like to start?
Thank you, Mrs. Benjamin. I will preview you with the information that there are 12 community comments that we received. They're all fairly short and they're all individual comments.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And so I will start with our first comment from Carlos Chico Robinson, and he is speaking about Meet and Confer. He writes, "Hello, my name is Chico Robinson, and I am a 7th and 8th grade social studies teacher at Kenilworth Elementary School. I am also a proud PECTA member. We appreciate the district making the necessary steps to pass the memorialized Meet and Confer agreement. I'd like to comment on one section in particular pertaining to association representation on committees. This is important because it is PECTA's responsibility to advocate for certified educators. By being on these committees, members of PECTA will have a voice on topics ranging from pay, working conditions, 301, and class sizes. The work of the union is to work with the district in creating the work environment the employees of this district deserve. Passing the Meet and Confer agreement will help solidify that work. I want to also add, none of this would be possible without the long hours put into the agreement by the Meet and Confer team. Thank you." Comment number 2 comes from Dana Ramos, also speaking to Meet and Confer. "Hello, I am Dana Ramos, a staff member at Emerson Elementary and a member of the PECTA Meet and Confer team. I am writing to urge the governing board to approve the Meet and Confer agreements from the spring 2020 Meet and Confer sessions. I'd like to thank and acknowledge the hard work of all of the team members on both the PECTA team and the district team. Despite school closure and a worldwide health crisis, our district and the association were committed to remain in accordance with our board policy to meet and confer. The sacrifice of time and energy during an already hectic time is much appreciated. The agreement this year is the start of a Meet and Confer agreement that builds on itself year after year, that specifically lays out the rights and responsibilities of certified staff members in Phoenix number 1. For this reason, I am most proud of our work this Meet and Confer session. Again, I urge you to approve the Meet and Confer agreement today. Thank you." Number 3 comes from Marley Davis, also speaking to Meet and Confer. "My name is Marley Davis. I have been in the Phoenix number 1 district for 7 years, my entire teaching career. My first 2 years were spent at Shaw before it was closed, and the last 5 years I proudly served at Whittier as a Whittier teacher. Next year, I will begin my new journey at Capital. I have taught special education grades K through 4 and 2nd and 3rd grade general education. I am also a proud 2-year PECTA member. I want to begin by thanking PECTA and the governing board for coming to an agreement that will benefit all teachers and in turn schools, students, and the district as a whole. I know that the work put into the agreement was extensive, and I believe that the specific outlines will help maintain a solid foundation across schools. While I appreciate all components of the agreement, I want to particularly address the nursing mothers section. This resonates with me deeply as I am due to have my first child early in the 2020-21 school year. The precise wording gives me one less thing to worry about. The need to express milk when I need to, being able to do so in an environment free of side or distraction from students and colleagues, and confirming coverage for my class when the time comes. Having these expectations explicitly outlined is appreciated not only by me, but by my doctor, my husband, and I'm sure my child. Again, thank you for the amount of time and energy that was spent to finalize the agreement. I know I am not the only one who deeply appreciates it." Number 4, Jay Barbuto, Meet and Confer. "Good morning, governing board members, Superintendent Weeks, and members of the cabinet. My name is Jay Barbuto. I am a 7th and 8th grade ELA educator at Edison School and the mighty proud co-president of the Phoenix Elementary Classroom Teachers Association. Today, I'd like to speak to the governing board passing the memorialized Meet and Confer agreement. Days after the teachers' strike of 2018, we sat down as a leadership team and envisioned what we wanted to accomplish next. If the walkout taught us anything, it's that educator voice is crucial in decision-making, policy, and student success. That's where the idea of a memorialized agreement came from. We felt it was the first step in ensuring that educators knew what was expected of them and knew what rights they had. I'd like to take the remaining time to list people that helped us along this process to ensure that a memorialized meet and confer agreement would become a reality. From PECTA, Dana Ramos, Leanne Abishar, Nicole Goodwin, Aaron Frericks, Joseph Fuentes, Chica Robinson, Marnie Burris, Julie Robbins, Holly Gillette, Jen Maurer, Grace Nasser, Deb Karowitz, Kelly Noble, Madeline Goodwin, Natalie Sandoval, Maeve Drake Lavelle, Manny Blanco, and Michaela Chapman. From District, Dr. Diaz and everyone else involved in the meet and confer process that helped initiate this agreement. From the Arizona Education Association, Liz Levis, Ronnie Asali, Megan Walsh, Marisol Garcia, Joe Thomas, Jennifer Laredo, Matt Cruz, Greg McQuaid, Nancy Schwartz, and from the community, Mama Zita Robinson, Aaron Abbott, Representative Raquel Terran, Michael Anderson, Nicholas Martin, Vanessa Jimenez. Thank you all for being PECTA strong. As our focus shifts to COVID-19 and the school year rollout, we've appreciated the support we've received from the governing board and district office. Thank you. Am I doing okay so far? Okay. Number 5, Maeve Drake Lavelle, also speaking to meet and confer. Good morning, governing board members and Dr. Weeks. My name is Maeve Drake Lavelle, and I am an early childhood special educator at Faith North. I'm writing today to encourage the board to ratify the professional working agreement submitted on behalf of the Meet and Confer team from PECTA and PSD number 1. A professional working agreement would create certainty and a sense of security during a time of substantial uncertainty and insecurity that we have experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic that started in March. As early childhood educators at Faith North, we are responsible for providing all special area classes, and as such, do not get a break in instruction until our students leave. After dismissal, our staff generally goes immediately into collaborative planning sessions, IEP meetings, parent conferences, and district collaborative team meetings. This does not allow us to take an uninterrupted duty-free lunch break. Having a scheduled uninterrupted duty-free lunch would ensure that all staff has an opportunity to stay mentally fresh and focused to the benefit of the students and the staff as well. I appreciate the collaboration between PESD number 1 and PECTA to establish a professional working agreement that continues to ensure a high level of teacher preparedness to promote continued student achievement. Thank you for your consideration. Number 6, Dr. Alicia Vink, school, and she's speaking to school resource officers and the reopening of schools. Good morning. As a parent and an educator, I have some brief comments regarding officers in schools, COVID-19, and equitable funding. Prior to allowing SROs back in our schools, we need to ensure our families are presented with information regarding their entire scope of work and data from all SRO interactions in our district schools. The district also needs to compare costs and benefits of SRO versus additional social workers or other community services and present an analysis before continuing to have Phoenix Police in our schools. I believe social studies for 4th and 8th grades were included in the curriculum conversations, but nothing regarding our pre-K 3rd grade students. As we know, discussions and ideas about race form in early childhood, and parents need to know what the district is doing to ensure students are engaging in diverse text and being presented with accurate accounts of history. I also know that some schools have been actively engaging in social justice learning and others have not. Consistency within the district is important. Regarding the parent survey about reopening schools and all other parent surveys, I believe data should be posted publicly every time it is collected. If parents are taking the time to respond, we should be able to see that our voices haven't been cast aside in a stack of paper somewhere. We also need to ensure we are engaging as many parents as possible in every survey. I'm not sure a robocall or teacher calls were done for this COVID survey. Lastly, months ago, I requested a budget that was broken down to show areas where schools are being inequitably funded, and due to staffing changes, this info has not been provided. Funding contributes to enrollment, and some of our schools not only need additional enrollment, but additional partnerships to be financially relevant. Respectfully, Dr. Alicia Vink. Number 7, Nicole Goodwin, meet and confer. To the Phoenix Elementary Governing Board. For the past 2 years, I have served on the meet and confer team for PECTA, representing certified employees. The members of this team spent many hours gathering input from our staff and parents, researching and using this information to work to better our schools for our students and staff. In addition, we spent many hours with administrators from the district team trying to put these solutions in place. Presented to and ratified by our governing board, we together have begun to create positive change in our district in a short time. Together, we gave our time and effort to make improvements, and now we are ready to solemnize these agreements to ensure that future students and staff members benefit from our efforts. A memorialized meet and confer agreement will be a useful tool for staff members to reference when confronted with questions about situations covered in these agreements. Thank you to Dr. Diaz and the rest of the administration team for your work and for agreeing to formally meet again in the fall to better address benefits, wage, and working conditions issues that arise from the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. Nicole Goodwin, first grade teacher, Whittier, PECTA treasurer. Number 8, Joseph Fuentes, meet and confer. Dear governing board members, Dr. Weeks, and the cabinet, I am writing to you today on behalf of agenda item I-1, meet and confer agreement. I am strongly in favor of this item as I believe that it has created a platform allowing educators to have a voice and to collaborate with administration. This item also ensures that regardless of staff, there is a system and protocol for decisions being made. Over the past 6 years as a teacher, 12 years if I include my time as a classified staff member, I have seen the true impact that PECTA and the meet and confer process has had on me as an employee. This platform has truly inspired me to advocate for students and staff and is in a much more productive way. It has opened the doors for collaborative communication between the administration and staff. It has made me feel like a much more valuable member of the PESD family. I am also in favor of this because of my personal experience with classroom sizes. I will never forget my first year teaching when I had a class of 40 students. Honestly, I went home frustrated and discouraged daily, but I didn't give up. Instead, I advocated for change because students were just not learning. No matter how great my classroom management is, 40 students is not ideal for anyone. A section of this agreement focuses on class sizes, which I believe is extremely important for our staff and students. If we want to meet the social emotional needs of our students while providing them with academic content, we have to ensure that classroom numbers stay lower. I am thankful that over the years, PESD has worked to lower class sizes, and I look forward to continuing this work of growing our district through the meet and confer process. Thank you. Number 9, Sarah Janice, meet and confer. Good morning, Governing Board, Dr. Weeks, and Cabinet. After reviewing PECTA and Phoenix Elementary No. 1's first ever professional agreement, I would like to express my gratitude for the consideration of the following: teacher planning time, 3 full days of professional development, and back to school week. As we know, returning to school after a lengthy break while simultaneously learning to master new curriculum for some is an overwhelming burden during a normal school year. Now, as we consider returning after such an extended break due to COVID-19, teachers and staff will undoubtedly notice an increase in workload. Allowing 2 protected days prior to the start of the year with students is a true step in the right direction to begin alleviating some of these unforeseen pressures. Additionally, examining and protecting the 225 minutes per week of teacher prep time is crucial to this process as well. Considerable preparation before and during the school year is much appreciated. Lastly, the proposed 3 full days of professional development following a break allows for us to receive continued education that is tailored to our specific qualifications and needs as a staff. Collaboration amongst our schools through such professional development will help us to continue to create a culture of high achievement and excellence within our district schools and individual classrooms. I look forward to continuing the work with Phoenix Elementary No. 1 and PECTA while we form and strengthen this bond and professional relationship. Respectfully, Sarah Janice. Number 10, Liz Levas, official recognition of PECTA and ESPA as bargaining units. Hello, I'm excited for the opportunity and journey that Phoenix Elementary School District is embarking upon by officially recognizing their employees' unions, PECTA and ESPA, as bargaining units. This sets a precedent that their voices are valued and will continue to be heard in a collaborative process. That when decisions are made that impact the lives of students, staff, and families of both, there will be open communication, and together we will strive to meet the needs of all. Thank you to the school board for hearing this policy to honor, trust, and collaborate with employees. We sincerely look forward to working with you on future endeavors. Liz Levis, organizing consultant for the Arizona Education Association. Number 11, Roni Asali, meet and confer. My name is Roni Asali, and I live at, and I will skip the address. I have worked with PECTA at the beginning of this process in helping support the professional agreement being addressed tonight and policy HA. I would like to express my excitement for the agenda item regarding the meet and confer document between the district and PECTA. I have worked with PECTA in the past, and I have yet to meet a group of educators that are so passionate about creating and advocating for the best learning and teaching conditions for their students. This agreement represents more than just agreed upon policies and procedures. It represents a joint decision-making process to ensure that all voices are in the room and decisions are inclusive. While this work can feel a bit tedious at times, we must remember that by honoring all the voices in the room, we make the best decisions for our community. Thank you to PECTA for being such amazing and dedicated educators. Thank you to the district and the board for embracing your educators and understanding that we can do better together. Remember, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. The approval tonight is a giant step in continuing the work together to help the Phoenix Elementary community go far. Thank you. And then number 12, Aaron Frericks, meet and confer, Black Lives Matter and anti-racist movements. Aaron is a fourth grade teacher at Edison and PECTA co-president. Good morning, governing board members and cabinet. Today I would like to speak about agenda item K3. PECTA first and most importantly would like to applaud our district in coming forward with such a positive and thoughtful response to the injustices that are occurring in our world today. However, PECTA would like to see this resolution as the first step in many actions that may follow the Black Lives Matter and anti-racist movements. One way to show follow through would be to fill our school libraries with a diverse book collection. As PECTA continues to compile a list of such items, we look forward to share these with you at the next board meeting in hopes that we can stand with these movements with more actions to come. Thank you. And that concludes the community comments.
Thank you very much, Ms. St. Clair.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're on to, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Dr. Diaz, so moved.
A second.
This is Lene Almy, I'll second.
There are comments, questions about the consent agenda?
I have a comment or a question. This is Dr. Diaz. It is on item sorry, I think it is item G8. And if this information needs to come to me after the board meeting, that's fine as well. I did some researching on the different vendors that we are renewing their contracts for, and it looks like we have a lot of like consultants and organizations that are providing perhaps maybe the same types of services to our students. So I was just wondering, why do we have so many of the same types of vendors providing services for like therapy and health and whatnot? Is there a specific reason we don't have just one or two? And then I guess the second question is there, I know at the district we've done a great job of looking at like each department and like really taking a step back and analyzing job descriptions and like what's really needed in that department, so we can right size and make sure we're very efficient and, you know, we're spending money wisely. My question goes then with vendors as well. Do we currently have a process where we're taking a step back and looking at our vendors and saying like, okay, here's what we really need. You know, we actually, you know, only need this amount of vendors for this type of service. Like these vendors are doing a fantastic job. Perhaps we don't need these vendors here. You know, I wonder if like we're taking that step back every time we do this, or if it's just we're reacting and just kind of, you know, reinstituting a contract just because we've always done it. I just don't want us to be in a position where we're just doing something because we've always done it. So I know that was a lot, and I can like try and be more concise if whoever my question is being directed to needs clarification. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. I appreciate your comments and your questions. At a very high level, not having the comprehensive list of vendors in front of me, it would be better for you and I to talk offline to get more specific. When you're talking in terms of services for special needs, oftentimes there's a variety of vendors due to capacity and what vendors can provide, what vendors actually have folks on staff who can provide this stuff. I think that's probably some of it. But taking a deeper dive and having a longer conversation with you would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be great. And I would like to follow up after this just to kind of wrap my head around. I'm a big believer in just taking a step back every now and then and analyzing what we have going on, making sure it's right and modifying as needed. And perhaps that's already going on, just like we're doing again through the HR processes, but just want to talk through that.
Very good. Happy to do that. Thank you, Dr. Diaz.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay.
This is Lene Almy. I had just a very quick question on the board minutes. I noticed the location is listed as the district office, and I know like Mr. Weeks and Dr. Stark are there, so I didn't know if the digital location needed to be reflected in any way in those meeting minutes.
That's a really good question. I don't know that I have an answer for that. I would say that the focal point of the meeting is still the district because Dr. Stark and I are here. However, as we memorialize the minutes, it might be helpful to have some sort of indication that we were on Zoom calls during this time. Yeah. At this point, I don't know that we can go back and change the minutes. We can certainly make a note to the minutes that although the two of us were here, that the majority of the board was on Zoom. I don't know what that looks like. Let me look into that and I can get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We're on to Dr. McLaughlin, and she's got approval of Verizon Innovative Learning. Dr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, President Benjamin, governing board members. We're bringing to you consideration and possible action to approve the Verizon Innovative Learning and ASU Curriculum Expansion Expectations Agreement. And this program will be at Hurd Elementary School. This partnership would be an after-school program for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at Hurd. They would be learning about emerging technology like augmented reality and virtual reality, They'd use the technology to develop a creative solution to a social challenge. They would be learning about design thinking and social innovation in their community. This agreement would extend through May, June of 2022. So we are asking for your approval of this agreement.
Thank you, Dr. McLaughlin. Can I have a motion, please?
This is Carmen Trujillo, so moved.
Thank you. And a second?
This is Lene Almy, I'll second.
Thank you very much. And are there comments or questions?
This is Dr. Diaz. I have a comment and a question. This is an amazing partnership. I think the students are going to get a lot out of this. And I'm really glad to see that we're partnering with the university to bring in innovative programs that will enhance their education outlook and experience. My question here is, there's just so much that we can be getting from the universities, ASU, U of A, NAU. Do we have somebody at the district who is like looking out for those opportunities and sending them to principals, or is that the responsibility of principals and teachers? And I just ask that because, you know, as we all know here, being a principal and a teacher, you are so busy with the day-to-day. It's incredibly difficult to go out of your way and find these opportunities, although it's not impossible. So I'm just wondering, how can we maximize on this so all of our schools get these types of opportunities?
Dr. Diaz, there is not one person at the district office that's responsible for bringing in these partnerships. And as you said, it is an added responsibility on top of an already challenging job of being a principal or a teacher or a district leader. We all work together as a team to look for these opportunities, but again, there is not one person that's responsible for this at the district level.
I'm wondering if, you know, and this is micromanaging and totally not my responsibility as a board member. So I'm just brainstorming and just putting it out into the universe. So take it or leave it. But I'm wondering, you know, if there's like a way to create a system for principals and teachers to submit requests to the district, or like a person or a team, and they kind of filter through those and like kind of make it a priority to like reach out to the university, just so, you know, we know that there's somebody who's like always on the lookout, and that there's like more of a seamless system for this. Perhaps it's like a stipend position. I don't know, just thoughts, and I'll leave it up to you guys.
Appreciate the idea, Dr. Diaz. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
This is Lene Almy. I agree with Dr. Diaz. This is an incredible partnership. We have a partnership with the Verizon Integrated Learning Center at the school in which I teach. And so my question is kind of stemming from that. I was wondering if you know who the staff contact for this program will be. I know that that's kind of a rigorous position with this grant. And so I was just curious about that.
Miss Aldretti, and I know that Miss Aldretti used to teach 4th grade. I think she teaches 6th grade now. She leads the girls coding club also at Hurd, and she's going to be the contact for this program. She is a teacher that goes above and beyond constantly for the Hurd students. So we appreciate and want to recognize Miss Aldretti's passion for providing these opportunities for her students.
Definitely, thank you. And then my other question, I saw that the requirement is for at least 100 middle school students. And I was wondering if you had any concerns about meeting that threshold in the upcoming year.
I noticed that too, and I think that would be a question more appropriately answered by Ms. Magana, so I won't speak for her, but I will definitely ask her that question, Ms. Almy.
Thank you.
So great question. And the bigger picture is that we're providing an opportunity for our 6th to 8th grade students. And with so much unknown, at least we have this opportunity, and our goal is definitely to encourage as many to get to that 100 plus students to participate and so forth. So I know Miss Aldretti very well. She's a well-respected, well-liked teacher. So with her motivation and her encouragement, we will strive to get 100 plus students participating.
I guess my question was more whether if you know if ASU will be flexible with that number given how the year might go.
In talking with them, they were extremely supportive. So it wasn't, the communication was more of a support. We want to offer this to your kids and so forth. So it wasn't about make sure you have 100 students, make sure you do this. It was a very supportive, you know, let us know whatever you need to support your kids.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. All in favor of approving the Verizon Innovative Learning with Arizona State Curriculum Expectations Agreement at HERD, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We're on to business services. Request approval for the PECTA meet and confer recommendations. Dr. Weeks, are you taking this since Dr. Hidalgo is not with us?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm the business services substitute. I call myself the substitute teacher. And so administration recommends the governing board approve the amended and restated lease between Little Big Mines and Phoenix Elementary School District number 1.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm talking about the PECTA meet and confer recommendation.
Oh, did I miss my?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I have.
I think the lease agreement was moved to the consent agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Alney.
Oh, I'm sorry. Request approval of the 2021 PECTA meet and confer recommendations. Administration recommends that the governing board approve the 2021 PECTA meet and confer recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Weeks. Can I have a motion, please?
This is Lene Almy. I move approval of the 2020-2021 PECTA meet and confer recommendations.
Thank you. And a second, please.
This is Dr. Diaz. I second that.
Thank you very much. And so now open it up for comments. Other questions you have?
This is Dr. Diaz. I just want to make a comment and thank our PECTA members and our district leadership for working on this. I know it took a lot of time and effort and thinking through creative ways to make sure that everyone was able to come to an agreement here. I'm glad that, you know, at the end of the day, we were able to make progress. I know that there is a lot of things on the table that we still do need to discuss. And I'm just thankful that both parties continue to work together to make sure that at the end of the day, our teachers have what they need and our students have what they need. Thank you.
This is Lene Almy. I just want to echo that same statement. Essentially, thank you to everyone from the district and from PECTA for all your hard work. And I know that there was a lot of time put into this, and especially figuring out how to make that work in the current situation. We really appreciate everyone's hard work on that. And I'm also glad that we were able to come to something that it sounds like everybody is happy with for the moment.
I would echo that too. In this environment of COVID, having come together Zoom things and having all kinds of different conversations. It's just critically important. So it's what I think work, and I would echo the same sentiment. Thank you to everyone who worked very, very hard to put this agreement together to bring it to the board today.
I would echo the same thing. So thanks to everyone, and especially during these unprecedented times.
And so would I.
So, I think that there's some clarification on salary increases that I'd like to make, and it's just that the team would meet, according to what it says here, the team is going to meet in the fall, but that any allocations of funds wouldn't be made until the 21-22 school year. It has to do with the legal requirements, and so that's how the monies would be coming in the future. And I think that's just a clarification because it doesn't say anything about that, but I don't know. I don't want anybody at PECTA to misinterpret that. Anybody else? With that, all in favor of the 2021 PECTA meet and confer recommendations, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Congratulations to PECTA and to the district team for all their hard work. Thank you. Okay. We're on to Mr. Lind.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam President and members of the governing board and those in the audience. Today I have 5 policies that I would like to bring forward, and I'd like to take a moment to share my screen. And if I can go there, I can get my document. Gotta find it here. Having a little bit of a difficulty with finding my document here. Oh, I'm sorry. How about if I just go ahead without sharing my doc? Oh, there we go. Okay. Can everyone see the document, meet and confer? Yes, okay, thank you. The first policy that we have for sharing this afternoon is the revision to policy HA, which identifies the meet and confer goals. What it deletes is the sole reference to administration, and it does provide some direct guidance for the goals of the meet and confer process. And you'll see here that it does acknowledge PECTA and ESPA as the professional associations that are in agreement here. And we can bring it back to the board at another time for a first or a second reading should we want to include PIA. Moving forward, we have the instruction and training in suicide prevention. This is a new policy, and it is added to our policy manual as a result of recent legislation. I want to assure the governing board that this policy is the language as represented by the ASBA recommendation, and our lead social worker Malika and social worker Dawn are working behind the scenes to ensure that we're ready to implement this policy with training for our teachers in grades 6 through 8. They already have been looking at resources and are just looking forward to prioritize this as we move into next school year. JLCD is also part of a recent policy revision for ASBA. And in collaboration with Lynette, our lead nurse, as well as guidance from legal counsel, we would like to add the words that are in red. In addition to the written order from a physician, we would also like to include or appropriately licensed healthcare provider. Our lead nurse tells us that many times they work with physician's assistants or nurse practitioners as they're more readily accessible. Also, The revision includes the ability for our school nurses to work in an emergency situation to administer certain medications, epinephrine, inhalers, or naloxone, hydrochlorine, and then on the other opioid antagonistic medications. The revision for inclusion of the licensed healthcare professional provider is also included here where the physician is referenced. JLDAC is a new policy that speaks to vision screening. And this is in response to legislation, recent legislation, and even though our school district has been very good about completing vision screening children for all children, there has never been a policy that identifies that. And we now have that policy available to us from ASBA. And the last is a policy we've been working on for quite a while. You may remember that at the board's request, you look at JLF. It was also a policy in the policy service advisories about reporting child abuse and child protection. The policy itself has been updated to include accurate information to accurate contact information. The other item that is newly added is the sentence here, any person who is employed as the immediate or next higher level supervisor to or administrator of a person who is statutorily required to report is not required to report if the supervisor or administrator reasonably believes that the report has been made by the person who is required to report. So that eliminates one step in that process. I also want to assure the governing board that the regulation that accompanies this policy is nearing completion. We've had a bit of a delay in our work due to the recent circumstances, but the regulation will be twofold. We will want to be sure that one of the regulations speaks to any abuse that is alleged against a student by an employee. And then the second regulation will be if an alleged abuse is by any other person out in the world. And so administration is recommending that we approve these 5 policies as a second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Lind. Can I have a motion, please?
This is Lene Almy. I move approval of the policies as a second reading.
And I would just add with the inclusion of the changes that Mr. Lind made this just now. Thank you, thank you. And a second?
Carmen Trujillo, I'll second.
Great, thank you. Comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Good, thank you.
5 new policies, very good, thank you. So we are on to board reports and requests. Are there any board reports or requests?
Dr. Diaz, Laura Diaz, I have a few. Sorry, I'm just opening up my notes here. So in terms of the board requests, so I did look at our website for the governing board meetings, and as Dr. Weeks mentioned, there is a deadline that is shown on the website, but I would like to request that we reorganize that specific part of the deadline and put that in the instructions for the participant call-in, just because it's a little confusing. You have to go down to the bottom of the page and it's like mixed in with another paragraph. So if you're just skimming, you're not going to see it. I'm hearing feedback. Can everybody put their mics on mute, please? The second request that I have is an update on when the Phoenix One Foundation will be presenting to the board. I know that their president did get back to us and said he would look into it. So I want to follow up on that and get a timeline for when we can expect them to present to the board. And then to the point of one of our community cards today, I would also like a board update. Perhaps this eventually makes its way to a board agenda item, but a board update on how our SROs are funded. And just getting a better idea of what their scope of work is. You know, what data do we collect on outcomes, if any? And, you know, what would it, if we did not have SROs, would we be able to spend that money elsewhere in the district? And what would be the implications of that? And then I would like kind of just like an update from, actually, this would be a board agenda item, so I'll save that. President Benjamin, you're on mute.
Thank you. This is Susan Benjamin. I am glad on May 22nd that we received the suspension reports. I requested other pieces to go with that, which we didn't get. And that would be, I would like the report to include gender, ethnicity, and grade. And of course, I asked for those monthly. So I'm assuming that once school starts, that we would get one at the end of every month. And the reason I want to see those particular items is because we know from research that Black young men are suspended at a higher rate, either in or out of school, and brown young men are suspended in and out of school at a higher rate. Now, I want to see what those rates look like. And in special ed, we know that those children are also identified for special ed, but there's accountability there from the state. They look at those percentages all the time. And so I want to see that in a monthly report. Thank you.
Ms. Sinclair, did you get that request from Ms. Benjamin? Dr. Stark and I here, we froze while Mrs. Benjamin was.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Weeks. Mrs. Benjamin, what I heard you say is that you would like a monthly report, suspension report, disaggregated for gender, race, and grade. And your rationale for that is to analyze the data for a disproportionate number of suspensions for young men of color and special education students. Is that a correct summary?
I'm not looking for the special ed students.
Oh, you're not? Okay. You mentioned something about special ed students.
There's accountability for too many children being identified, but I'm not, we need to be accountable too, is my point.
Okay, so that's another report request, is the special ed students?
No, I don't need that.
Okay.
I just need the suspension reports in school and out of school by gender, ethnicity, and grade.
Okay.
Monthly. The end of every month.
This is Carmen Trujillo. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi. I would like to also just support Dr. Diaz's request for some more information regarding the communication, but I would also like to add that because we have so little participation participants that really join in on the phone conversation. I thought there might be a barrier prior to this that stopped us from having them call in. But why not have it email as well as the phone option? Because everybody's got different schedules and it just makes us more accessible. So I wanted to make that part of a request as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll go on to receive and discuss a marketing presentation. Ms. Bresnahan.
Yes, good afternoon, President Benjamin, Board, Dr. Weeks, Cabinet, and anyone in the audience. I believe the presentation is going on the screen any moment now. I'm not going to go live on video because I'm having internet lag time and I don't want us to freeze up. So forgive me for just my name showing there. Okay, so the name of my company is Launcho Partners, and I have been in business since 1999 and have been honored to work with the school district since 2002. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. I just want to clarify one thing, since this is a public meeting. For any of my other clients out there, I'm not retiring right now. I just can't commit to a 12-month obligation with this RFP. So I'll be quick, but I think this will help to inform as you move forward to know about the role. So the responsibilities and scope of work in the RFP called for 20 hours of work each week, but it's really more than a full-time job. I easily work more than 40 hours a week for the school district, and I've done so with honor because it really has been my passion project. But the scope of the work is to support the principals, and one of the key ways I do that is managing the helpline, which is a helpline for our parents in our community that I launched this last school year. It's managed 24/7, and it's been, as you know from the results from our last meeting, I won't repeat all of those, but it was almost a full-time job managing the helpline, but it was great to do so because we were able to very quickly respond to our parents' concerns, tell them where there were meal pickup, or answer any of their questions. One of my jobs is to communicate the strategic plan, to manage the outsourced team members for marketing, to serve on the equity leadership team, to increase student enrollment, to improve the image and awareness of the district, to improve customer service, and to provide 24/7 response to media and crisis situations. That's one that certainly makes this more than a full-time job. And also to support, with only 2 Ps though, forgive me for that error, the cabinet at their C-level decision-making. Next slide, please. So ideally, every school could afford a marketer, especially in today's competitive world where charter schools have significant budgets for marketing. So we did launch a test this year with 6 schools for social media support, and that's been effective, especially when the schools have engaged, and we've seen some good results from that social media. I know you'll see more of those results soon. Also developing website content as they develop and expand their programs, and to communicate those things that we know are most important to our families, which is great teachers and the safety and happiness of their children. We've also been testing this year personalized marketing campaigns for 3 of our schools, Magnet Traditional, Herrera, and Whittier. Those were picked based on our demographic study that shows that the majority of children that live near our district live in the perimeters around those 3 schools, the northwest side, the south side, and the northeast side. We also launched the district-wide Kinder Rock and Enroll event. Unfortunately, this year we did not get to host it because it was going to be held about 3 or 4 days after the state closed the schools. Again, available 24/7 for crisis, and the helpline, which I've already described for you. Next slide, please. In terms of the communicating the strategic plan, I was not a member of the strategic planning team, but I did bring the community in to be engaged in that, both businesses as well as parents and community members who, in one case, had children who'd been in our schools in the past. I also observed every strategic plan team meeting. And when the results came together, we had the results of the strategic plan, and then we also had, I believe it's 272 curriculum audit points that needed to be put together in an organized fashion so we could move forward with one unified strategic plan. And I was responsible for packaging those results and organizing them into the action teams that we have today. And then we communicate that progress through our community in a variety of ways. But one way is a newsletter that mails to 65,000 residences and businesses 3 times a year. It's called The Signature. Next slide, please. We also have a graphic designer who's outsourced, web developers, social media, a printer, and at one point we were working with Univision, but that campaign ended in 2018. So I have been managing that outsourced group of team members. Next slide, please. It's been a real honor and a learning experience to serve on the equity leadership team. I am so grateful that the district is so committed to this equity leadership team, and it is one of the things I will miss greatly. I think Dr. Rose and Malika are doing an excellent job of moving this forward. I know we'll stay very focused on it, and I will be continuing to learn about equity and racial equity because of all the resources that they've shared. Next slide, please. So this slide is a bit more detailed. It shares with you all of the different integrated marketing forms that we use to drive student enrollment. It's also the ways that we communicate to our community in different ways. If you look at the research and planning angle, I led the demographic studies through the direct US Postal Service and digital. We send postcards and the newsletter, and through MailChimp to make sure that we have direct communication with all of those that we have addresses and emails for. For the events, one of the things I'm most proud of is launching the Parent University. And I was able to do that last fall through a grant that I acquired. So it didn't cost the district anything. I hope that continues. And we did have one planned for April, but of course we couldn't move forward with that. That event, there's so much that needs to be shared with parents in terms of helping them deal with bullying prevention. And now all the new topics that have come up in the last 3 months, I know they seek education on those. Print banners, print materials, we have the district-wide brochure, etc. And all of these links were sent to you in March, but I would be happy to share these links of postcards and brochures, etc. Again, if anybody'd like to take a look at them. In about 3 years ago, I put together an ad hoc group to rebrand the district to really focus on Phoenix and the name #1. There's a long way to go with that. We don't have the resources that Coca-Cola has, where they say they change their brand and everything turns on a dime to be the new brand, but it's beginning to take hold and people are beginning to embrace it. Thanks to Dr. Diaz and Dr. McLaughlin and all of those who are helping to promote that as well. And as far as signage goes, we always have banners and yard signs, and we have new banners going up, if they're not already up, to show all of our superheroes and our plans for at-home and at-school learning in the fall. Well, not the fall, August, right? Our advertising, we have we have done some minor advertising, but at one point shifted all of our advertising to Univision. That has not been taking place since 2018. I think it's very effective advertising, but I honor the fact that the district has to make budget choices. Social media, as I said, we've done a test this year with 6 of our schools, and I know those results will be presented to you soon as well. Our websites, we do everything we can to get content that's relevant to parents there, and every time a new program is added or new information, so that we can drive parents to our websites through all of these other means on the wheel. The district, in terms of media relations, that's been my role as well. As long as I've been with the district has chosen to fly under the radar. That has worked relatively well. It doesn't always work. And as the PR person, I have to honor the decisions when they choose to fly under the radar. So that's been a bit of an up and down. In terms of internal, my goal has been to coach on customer service and to hold formal trainings, but mostly in the terms of coaching and trying to be a good role model for those who are responding to our families. And the last one, but not least, is the one I'm most excited about, because we have had an ad hoc call center for many, many years. When we're trying to get people to call in to enroll their children, we haven't had a team to do this. And I'm very excited about the fact that Troy will be leading that team, and it will give the district the opportunity for the first time to track a call that comes in as an inquiry and to see if they end up in our classrooms. So that data, that measurement will be incredibly valuable for future marketing decisions. So thank you to the board and to Cabinet for making that happen. So let's see, that concludes that slide. Improved image awareness and support of the district and community relations. So we do that through an integrated approach as well. And all of those tools are used to send, all the tools that you saw on the wheel are used to send that information out. I also launched the Business and Community Partner Group many, many years ago. And I think that has grown into a group that doesn't want to leave when the meetings are over. They see it as a great networking opportunity, and our audiences have continued to grow significantly. I do worry about the ability to continue those and what that will need to look like for the future as classroom teaching changes too. I represent the district for Phoenix Community Alliance, and that's a downtown group associated with Downtown Phoenix Partnership. My major goal recently has been able to share our demographic studies with them and to help them see how the changing downtown with the price of homes and the size of homes in these apartment buildings is not conducive to our traditional families, and to share with them, our mobility rates, our decline in birth rates, et cetera, for them to partner with us. Also with the mayor's office, her policy advisor, I've worked with Tim in the Phoenix Education Liaison Office, internal communications for the superintendent, and the rebranding with Univision for improved image just 3 years ago. Next slide, please. And I think I already mentioned this, but customer service is always important to a public organization like ours. We don't want to be the Department of Motor Vehicle. And I think that there's going to be a huge emphasis on that moving forward. In the past, we've done formal presentations and coaching and role modeling. And last but not least, I want to thank Dr. Rene Javier Diaz, because in 2002, I had the opportunity to meet him and begin working with the district for my passion project that enabled me to combine my teaching experience and my corporate experience to positively impact the district and public education. And after Dr. Diaz came Dr. Takamoto and Dr. Roa and now Dr. Weeks. And I'm grateful to all of them for enabling me to do this.
Thank you, Sarah. Susan, I think you wanted to say something, but you're muted.
I forget. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bresnahan. Are there questions or comments?
I have a question. Do we have, I know that one of, well, actually, I would need to see the scope of work again, but do we have any strategic plans specifically for the scope of work? So in terms of marketing, communication, or is it more reactive to what the needs are at that specific time?
We have a marketing plan. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, marketing plan, parent community engagement, those types of things.
Yes, there is a marketing plan.
I would love to see that. I think, you know, just moving forward, I think that's important for the board to understand. And in terms of social media, you mentioned that that's contracted out. So is that, can you describe that a little bit more?
6 of the schools were able to leverage a social media guru this year. And the district is looking to review how we proceed with that, to expand to other schools and to engage principals and schools to leverage it even better.
So is this, are we paying someone, you know, full-time, part-time? Are we specifically paying for a contracted person's time to work on social media for X amount of hours? What does that look like?
Yes, a person is contracted to support social media for a school. It's not based on hours. It's based on a monthly number of postings.
And does this individual also support district social media marketing?
Not presently.
Okay. I do think, you know, just holistically looking at this part of the district, marketing, communications, PR, it is so important for us as a governing board to not underestimate the impact that it has on our community and our parents, both to bring in enrollment, but also to make sure that our community and our parents and our teachers and students and staff are in the know about what is going on all the time. Social media is such a critical platform to get the word out, to make sure that we are really being transparent and ensuring our community knows what's going on. And I think that, you know, they have been underutilized as a district to this point. And I really would like to see in the future, whenever that happens, a strategic plan to figure out how we can ramp that up. You know, as Sarah, you mentioned, this is more than a full-time job. And in various roles I've had professionally, I've been able to really work intimately in this area. And I've seen, you know, I've worked alongside individuals who this is all they're committed to doing, like every single day. So I would really like the district to consider, you know, moving forward after the contract, do we need to invest in a full-time individual to manage this because, you know, as Sarah mentioned, it, we are one of many clients that she has, and, you know, we need to be able to ensure that our strategy is very robust and it's very active and ongoing. So I think that conversation needs to continue to happen. It shouldn't take away from, you know, other positions we need for the classrooms. But again, I think this is a vital part of our district in ensuring that people know what's going on.
And Dr. Diaz, I agree with you. I have made the recommendation that a director of marketing and community relations be hired. So that it is a full-time job. I know that budgets are tight, and as you said, instruction is first and foremost. So, but I know they're contemplating that, and that makes me feel really good. If that can happen, the hands I would be leaving the district in.
That's really good to hear. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of this information that you presented today.
Other comments or questions?
Yes, Carmen Trujillo, I've got a question. As far as the tests that you mentioned that were launched, are the tests being run to update the RFP that you mentioned, or like what we're gonna do with all of the schools? I just am hoping for a little more clarification between the personalized plans we have and then the other 6 schools, and then I guess just what that process looks like. What were the tests for, and are they, I'm assuming they're all based on that demographic data.
So Ms. Trujillo, I say that I use the word test in terms of just about everything you do in marketing as a test, and you're measuring their return on investment. So the district is looking at it as, is it helping to drive enrollment? Is it helping to drive people to our websites, et cetera? Is it helping to improve and enhance communications between the school and the community? So only a test in that respect. I don't think there's any doubt that social media is a critical player in today's world. So I hope, did I answer your question there, Ms. Trujillo?
Yeah, as far as that
Oh, it was not part of the RFP, also, to answer your question.
Got it. So I guess with that changing, I guess I need to understand. So as far as the recommendation for a director of marketing, does that kind of cancel out the RFP?
So I think that all of that is in play right now. Is that fair to say, Dr. Weeks? The district is evaluating how to take on my responsibilities best, and the people and the resources that are required to do that. And there's got to be a transition period here. So I think the best thing to say, Ms. Trujillo, is there's no answers. They're just now beginning to evaluate all of that and talk with all the players to make sure they make the right decisions.
Got it. Absolutely. So as far as a transition time, do we know when we might discuss this again, or is it going to be something, I guess, I'm not too sure. When does your actual contract end? I forgot which month it was.
So I believe the obligation of the RFP ends June 30th for me.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct. And so we'll be working with Sarah on a transition. Dr. Vic Diaz and I are looking at a job description language that we can bring to the governing board, testing the community to see what, in a public school district, what a position like this might look like in the organization, what the salary requirements might be. But there's a lot of work here. And so we want to make sure that we're as seamless as we can and to make the right decisions in the right amount of time. So in terms of the other support contracts, I'll be working with purchasing to figure out what methods are best to move forward. Let's say the person who handles 6 social media for the 6 schools, then we'll have to make decisions on whether or not we're going to expand that to the rest of the schools. So there's a lot of research and dialogue that's in discussion right now. Today's presentation was really about providing information to the governing board on kind of what's been done. And I want to thank Sarah for her nearly 20 years of work in doing her very best. And I'll go back to this yeoman's term again, making sure that she's been available to us. She's been relied on by principals and superintendents and assistant superintendents. And so she's really been kind of a part of the Phoenix Hill family for a really long time. And so I just want to say we appreciate what you've done here. Moving forward, we do have some decisions to make, and I'll be providing a brief to the governing board what that looks like.
Okay. Thank you very much.
After we say, oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say other comments or questions.
I just have one last question. Do we currently, or what is our current marketing budget for the district?
You know, the current marketing budget hovers, and without Dr. Hidalgo here, I want to say it hovers around 150 or so. So it's not really comparable to, let's say, an ASU or something along those lines. That we have to really make sure that we're balancing our dollars with our marketing.
And so does that money, so that pot of money is for everything, FTE, advertising, print, those types of things?
Yeah, and so the 150 is kind of a off the top of my head estimate at the moment. But yeah, it would include everything. So like if we needed translation services, if we needed something printed, if we needed social media support, if we needed PR support, all of that.
So and this is probably something that you guys are already thinking. I just, want to say it out loud for my own peace of mind. I don't undervalue print pieces. I think they are important and that they have a place, and certainly they're very meaningful for families who might not have access to, Wi-Fi or a computer to see things on our website. But what I would like to, really highlight is we do live in a digital age, and I think most people, the majority of people, rely on getting information from social media. So how can we cut down on costs in terms of newsletters or other print media, and put a lot of this on social media, on our website, and perhaps we send out hard copies to families that we have surveyed and know they don't have access to technology. Just one way to think through how to save money and really be creative with how we're spending our resources, but definitely using digital media as much as possible. I think moving forward is going to be key.
Any other comments, questions?
Thank you for those comments.
Thank you. And thank you, Sarah, for that report. It was nice to kind of put it all together, and we appreciate all you've done for the 18 years that you've been in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Benjamin.
Okay, we are on to the resolution regarding systematic racism, hatred, and brutality. I'm going to read the resolution, but I'm going to say ahead of time, Dr. Diaz sent one out, I think, Tuesday night. And so that information was not, none of it was able to be added in. And so any board member can make an amendment to the draft document that I'm going to present. And then, of course, then the board members have to decide how they want to respond to that, to those potential amendments. So I will just kind of go through and read this. But first, I want to just clarify that I asked for this resolution specifically for the children and parents in our community. And I asked that of Dr. Weeks, and I know that he had Mr. Lind kind of start an initial draft, and then cabinet looked at it, I looked at it, and then I asked that Malika Wadley look at it, and she took it to the equity committee and to Dr. Rose. And if you all don't know, Dr. Rose was brought up before, and Dr. Rose is a consultant through West Ed and does a lot of consulting on equity. She's an expert in her field, and she was good enough to take a look and add to this resolution. So I want to thank all of those people. And then the governing board had a chance to also add to this by Tuesday. There was a cutoff time. And so I want to thank everybody. I think it was a really collaborative effort. This is a difficult topic. And I think that the time that we spent doing that, you come up with a good, solid resolution that speaks to our community, and all those people that took the time to add to this really, I think, made a difference. So thank you to all of those people. So,
Mrs. Benjamin?
Yes.
I just would like to interject. Tom, would you be a good listening ear for any edits to the resolution?
Yes, I will. I have my pen and paper right here.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Okay, I'll read this. It's up in front of you. A resolution of Phoenix Elementary School District #1 Governing Board in response to systemic racism, hatred, and brutality. Whereas Phoenix Elementary School District #1 recognizes the safety and education of our children is a shared responsibility among our community. Whereas Phoenix Elementary School District #1 prides itself as a community that treats one another with kindness, respect, and dignity. Whereas Phoenix Elementary School District #1 does not only prioritizes student academic success for all students, but also provides support systems for social and emotional health, personal growth, and civic engagement. Whereas Phoenix Elementary School District #1 recognizes the impact of protests occurring in our local community and district neighborhoods. Therefore, let it be resolved that Phoenix Elementary School District #1 believes Black Lives Matter. Therefore, let it be resolved that Phoenix Elementary School District #1 condemns and mourns the heartbreaking deaths of all those who have died at the hands of racial oppression, hatred, and brutality. Therefore, let it be resolved that Phoenix Elementary School District #1 commits to action that will address racial inequality, implicit bias through multiple opportunities by listening to families, students, and staff. Therefore, let it be resolved that Phoenix Elementary School District #1 agrees to respond to the voices of our community with meaningful actions seeking to resolve inequities, misunderstandings, and mistrust. Therefore, let it be resolved that Phoenix Elementary School District #1 commits to a courageous pursuit to eradicate systemic racism and violence within our educational community. And then it has our names below that. So with that, I believe I'll ask for a motion. And then a second. So I'd like a motion, please.
This is Lene Almy. I move approval of the governing board resolution regarding systemic racism, hatred, and brutality.
Thank you very much. And a second, please.
This is Carmen Trujillo. I'll second.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Now's time for discussion. So I think Dr. Diaz has her own resolution.
Yeah, thank you so much, President Benjamin. And I'd like to really second what you were, your sentiments about all the work that has been done to make this resolution possible. I certainly appreciate the time and the dedication and the heart behind it. Because at the end of the day, I think we are all saying the same thing, that Black lives do matter. And as a governing board and as a district, we're going to do our part to stand up to racism, hatred, and oppression. I did bring forward a really different version of the resolution a little too late, so that was my fault, and I apologize for not paying attention to instructions. So I appreciate you guys giving me a few moments to go through my draft, and then we can discuss and figure out what makes the most sense. But I wanted to say the reason that I brought forward this modified version is I believe that it is our responsibility as a school district to be as explicit as possible on this matter, and to ensure that our language is strong and very direct and to the point on why we are recommending this and what we are committing to doing. And so I pulled together language from some resources that I received and want to discuss this with you here today. So I'm not sure what the best way to do this is. Should I give everybody, a minute or so to read it, or should I just read it just like you did, President Benjamin?
It's your choice, however you want to do it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and read it just because it's really hard to see on the screen. And I want to make sure that people who are on the phone can also hear. So here we go. Whereas on May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, a Black resident of Minneapolis, Minnesota, died after the use of unnecessary and illegal excessive force by a police officer while Mr. Floyd was handcuffed and lying face down. And whereas the continued loss of Black lives, such as George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony McDade, Nina Pop, and so many others, to acts of racism, calls upon our resolve to work for change. And whereas throughout our nation's history, institutional and structural racism and injustice has led to deepening racial disparities across all sectors of society and have lasting negative consequences for our communities and nation. And whereas Black community members continue to experience microaggressions, racial profiling, hate incidents, and racial bias in all systems they encounter. Whereas stating that Black Lives Matters does not negate our commitment to all members of our community, but rather elevates Black people who have historically been oppressed by our society and affirming that their lives specifically matter. And whereas we recognize that discrimination, bias, and racist incidents against Black, Brown, and Indigenous students harm them mentally, physically, and academically. And whereas we believe that silence and inaction perpetuate injustice, bias, and racism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Phoenix Elementary #1 Governing Board and District believe that Black Lives Matter and supports the Black Lives Matter movement. Therefore, be it resolve that Phoenix Elementary #1 Governing Board and District will confront the biases in our own school district and actively engage in the challenging work of dismantling problematic practices that are limiting opportunities for Black, Brown, and Indigenous students. Therefore, be it resolved that Phoenix L Governing Board and District affirms its commitment to the well-being and safety of PESD Black students, staff, and family members. Therefore, be it resolved that Phoenix L Governing Board and District, there's a typo there, agrees to listen to and respond to the voices of our community with meaningful actions seeking to resolve inequities, misunderstanding, and mistrust. Therefore, be it resolved that Phoenix Al Governing Board and District denounces discrimination, racism, and sentiments against Black people. We will not tolerate racist treatment of any members of our community, and we will speak out against racism and systemic oppression in our society to help stop the spread of bigotry. Therefore, be it resolved that Phoenix Al Board and District stands firmly against bigotry, prejudice, discrimination, and inequity in all forms. And therefore, be it resolved that Phoenix Al Governing Board and District will increase its efforts to provide a safe and welcoming school environment for all students, working with the City of Phoenix, community nonprofits, and other government agencies. So mine is a bit long. I would be open to discussion and modifications.
Well, what we were doing is the one that's in front of us is the one that I read. And so any modifications would go onto that one. Not modifying yours. You would have to take yours and place it in the place of this one.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I'll leave it open to you guys since I'm recommending this resolution in place of what was presented.
So are there comments?
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, this is Carmen Trujillo. I just wanted to make a comment. Being a woman of color, reading the initial one that came out, I felt really proud. I felt like it included everything. I was good with it. But in reading Dr. Diaz's, and she does this for me a lot. She teaches me with her recommendations, and in reading hers, I do fully believe that we do need to be more detailed. We do need to be more direct. Our community is full of children of color, and I had to watch my own conditioning of being okay with something that more summarizes and is general and is safe somewhat, as opposed to something that really makes a declarative statement against racism in the most beautiful sense possible. This thing is I support or also recommend that we do update our version to reflect this, because it speaks volumes as a board that we do intend to eradicate anything going on in our district and our communities for any type of oppression and racism. So thank you to everybody that put work into this, and to you, Dr. Diaz, for really taking a closer look at it, which is what you're really great at. Thank you all very much.
Any other comments? So at this point, Mr. Lind, I think what I'm hearing Dr. Diaz say is she would just like to expunge the one that the district worked on and put hers in the place of, so there's no edits, correct?
Yes, I believe that's what I heard, yes.
Okay.
This is Lene Almy. I really appreciate both versions of the resolution. I do think it's important for us to recognize that we had this first draft go through a lot of different people who took a look at it. And I don't want to negate their opinions on what was put forward on the original draft. And so we have our equity team, we have the leaders of the equity team, our equity consultant, and I do think that they all have really good insights on where we would like to take the district. And so I just want to kind of say that I feel like we need to look at their work and acknowledge it, but I also appreciate the specificity that comes from Dr. Diaz's version. So maybe looking at some of those specific action steps that we were like best and figuring out how we can incorporate those. I don't know if there's some kind of middle ground.
So is it possible, I know that timeliness matters, and I think that I agree with you, Ms. Almy, that it is important to get the feedback and go through the process. We have set up this process for a specific reason. And again, I apologize for getting this to you all so late because it could have gone through that process. I'm very uncomfortable with passing the current resolution. So I would like to recommend that we can convene a special meeting perhaps tomorrow or next week to specifically pass an updated resolution, or we can wait. But I personally do not feel comfortable putting my signature on the original resolution without including very specific parts of the one that I read. And it by no means I'm not doing it like out of pride and saying like I want mine because I wrote it. I just think that the one I presented is very specific, and as a woman of color, I think it needs to be specific, and we need to call out oppression and racism and injustice.
Well, I'll just weigh in here and say that I'm uncomfortable with all of your whereases. And so I could not sign this as is. Some of your therefore be it resolved, I find to be quite a nice addition to what was originally done. But I see us as a school district with our focus on children. And I think that the one that was presented from the district really focuses on our children and is positive for our children. And that's what I asked for this to be. Not a political statement, but a statement for our children. And I just don't, I believe that the way the talk was written, that, we have to deal with systemic racism and police brutality in general. But it's another one to look at very specific cases and to look at Mr. Floyd or Ms. Taylor or Mr. Arbery. They were horrific situations, and we know all this pretty much from the media or from television, but we have a system of laws, and that involves witnesses and involves jurors, and people hopefully have more information than what we've had on cable TV. And so I look at that as people are innocent until proven guilty, and that's why it's political. And I believe that the initial whereases in the one that I read really do reflect the school district. And that's what we're here to do, is to not only support, but to reflect the school district. And I want to support that. I think that there are, as I said before, other, therefore be it resolved that you have that could be added to the original one. Dr. Stark, do you have anything to say? I can't hear you. Okay. Can you all hear her?
And put your face closer.
Okay. Is this coming now?
That's better. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with think it would be started very, very well. Very short, but it certainly does. It very much.
I'm having a hard time.
Are you?
Yeah, that's.
Next week, Dr. Stark.
Are you all working on?
Yeah.
this point, everybody's echoey.
Hear me? Even not. Can you hear me now? Guess not.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I really like the short one that we did, and it's very beautifully done. The second one, I think we should just work on because the first one is a very beautiful, not beautiful, I would say, but I mean it's a resolution that I think many people would understand and would really have just think of how well this was done. The second one has a lot, of course, of ideas and so forth and so on. And I think we do need and probably will need within maybe a month something that is a little more in depth. But I would like to suggest that we start with the first one, and yes, let's also perhaps put together something with a lot of what the second page is, but give it more time. That's what I think.
Thank you, Dr. Stark, for weighing in. I respectfully do have to disagree. I understand and I agree that we are not necessarily a political institution. We are an education institution, but the acts that have been committed against Black and brown individuals, and specifically we're talking about Black people, they intersect all systems of our community, education being one. And we were elected by our community to stand up for all injustices that affect our children. And although these specific cases do not directly affect our PESD students, they are a representation of years and years and years of oppression and systemic and institutional racism that needs to be called out. And I believe we are role models for our children in our schools to know that they can use their voice to speak out. And their education is one way where they can learn how to advocate against these things. And I understand that it's easier and nice to look at a shortened and broad statement that focuses just on like our purview, but the fact of the matter is education is not a siloed institution. And if we want to take out specific cases such as the one I mentioned, I have a little less heartburn with that because there are so many cases we could list. Those were just examples. But I do think that it is vital that we make these statements that calls out racism and oppression. And, my lens is really coming from being Mexican, growing up in poverty, having people be racist towards me, I cannot imagine what our Black community goes through. And I think that our students deserve for a governing board to be strong and bold and courageous in what we are putting forward for them. So I know this is a lot to digest, but this is my stance.
This is Carmen Trujillo, Madam President, if I might speak again.